Cuffs are off, man. Get right. Too many left in these leagues, but I ain't gonna leave. I'ma get right. Get right. Down to the bottom and scratch it for all the...
Hey everybody, Adam Rank here.
What's up everybody? It's Marcus Grant.
This is AJ Dillon of the Green Bay Packers.
I got to give a shout out to y'all at Get Right Fantasy.
If you are not subscribed, what are you waiting for? You want to lose your league?
Check out the Get Right Fantasy Network.
You got to get right with the Get Right Fantasy Network.
Best of luck with your podcast. Appreciate the support.
And you're tuned in to watch my boys at Get Right Fantasy Network. Get you right. Enjoy the show.
But I tune in every Friday. Strategies provided, I will lock in every way. So go and roll your sleeves up. Yeah, go roll your sleeves up. And I'm getting down cause I roll my sleeves up. And I'm getting right cause I roll my sleeves.
What up? What up? What up, world? We are back. I'm Anthony, aka Rasta, and this is Get Right Fantasy Network. And I'm here with my boy, my brother from another mother, Mr. Classic Mike. How's it going, Classic? How you doing tonight, man? Happy Friday.
Man, happy Friday, my friend. I am ready to go. Excited to get this mock going. You have no idea.
You have no idea. I had to go through so much just to even get here right now. But once I hear that intro music, man, whatever else is going on in the world, I'm just like, it's time for the show. It's time to talk fantasy football. It's time to mock. So let's do it, man. Let's get into it. But before we do, we got a special guest tonight. We got our boy, Mr. Kendall, aka Santos. You guys have probably seen him in the last couple of our mocks. Our boy from the Fantasy Football Tavern, a new addition to the Get Right Fantasy Network, airing here soon. Kendall, welcome to Get Right and welcome to Friday Night Mocks. How you doing, man?
Oh, baby, it's Friday night. We made it. The weekend is here. Friday Night Mocks are here. I don't actually have a life. I'm just big dad energy. The kids are asleep. So let's mock draft. This is awesome. Yeah.
That's what it's all about. That's what we're here for, man. Put the kids to bed. Pour yourself a drink or whatever it is you do to get right and come get in the mock draft, man. So let's do it. So what do we got going on tonight? Classic?
So
we're doing a Superflex startup, Dynasty startup. What are we doing?
You're doing a Superflex Dynasty startup, 1 QB with Superflex, of course, 2 wide receiver, 2 running back, 1 tight end, and 3 flex, and a few bench spots just because.
Got to build out a little bit of a bench. But that's awesome, man. So let's get it started. We got the guys in the mock waiting and rearing to go. So shout out to everybody that was there and able to join us here tonight. If you guys want to get in these mocks with us here, we're doing them every Friday here in the off season. The best way to get into these things first, because, I don't know if you guys heard, but, we hit 1,000 subscribers now. So we got people that are dying to get into these mocks. So if you want to get in, the best way is to have those notifications turned on. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. When you see that notification of the new video drop, go into the description. I always have the link right there at the top. You can join in there. You can also, if you're viewing right now, if you want to see the actual draft board, you can click that link there to get it going. So make sure you guys check that out. And again, hit that like and subscribe button for us, man, as we continue to grow here and try to hit that 1.1 thousand subscribers. I can't believe I'm even saying that myself. I never thought we'd be here, but here we are, man, and it's exciting. Absolutely. So I'm going to take care of some of the housekeeping first while the mock kind of gets going here. So strap in for just a second for me here, guys. For anyone that is new to the channel here, again, here during the off season, we're doing our Friday night mocks every Friday. We start basically, here in May, focused on kind of Dynasty. We'll do startups. We didn't really do a rookie only draft, but, we just kind of tie the rookies in right after the NFL draft. It's kind of when we start for our off season. June, we start to kind of focus on those Scott Fishbowl mocks. Shout out to FF Tycoon and Classic Mike here representing Get Right. Hopefully I'll get my invite here soon in the SFB 14. I'm trying. We're trying hard. So make sure you guys go check out fantasycares.org if you want to get in the Scott Fishbowl this year. Obviously, make your donations, support a great cause. But more importantly, getting in with just a bunch of fantasy degenerates. It's a great giant tournament that they do all for charity. So again, if you're not familiar with Scott Fishbowl, make sure you guys go check it out. We might have links in the description. If not, we'll make sure we get them in there. So keep checking them out. So that'll basically take us through June because, Scott Fishbowl actual drafts start in July. And Classic, why don't you go ahead and let them know what we're doing in July.
Ooh.
So I can make my pick here.
Yeah. So in July, we're going to be having our mock draft tournament of champions. It starts July 29th. $0 to get in, chance to win up to $50. Cash, we got Rafi Bomb being the reigning champ. We got AJ 2022. We got Lou Champ of 2021. So this is our 4th year of doing this.
This will be the 4th year.
Wow. Jeez. So
can't believe it.
Make sure you guys keep an eye out. Make sure you guys are going to our sleeper channel below. We have our own private sleeper channel that's in the description. Make sure you guys are joining that. We're going to be posting about it in there as much as we can to get as many people as we can into those particular mocks. It's Monday through Thursday. We get you into a mock. Top 3 teams from those go to mock on Friday, and then we go from Friday. The winner of that, the top 3, right, from that, and then we go from there. So
yeah, it's kind of convoluted, all the rules and stuff, but the biggest thing is just come, show up, sign up for a mock, get your mock in, draft, and we'll take care of the rest. We'll let you know if you advance or whatever it is. So you don't have to worry about all that. Just if you get the invite, come get in the mock. So it's going to be an awesome little tournament that we have going on there. Speaking of tournaments and champions and whatnot.
No.
Oh, so much in a rush here. So much in a rush, gentlemen, that I forgot to tell you guys about our boys over at TrophySmack.com. Make sure you guys go check them out. Use that promo code GetRight, because when you do, you can cop yourself one of these bad boys here, one of their rings. This thing is heavy, man. It makes look at how much my finger just dips down holding this thing. For only $7 per person in a 12-person league, on top of whatever you guys are playing for already, your winner of that league could walk away with the ring that they have for the rest of their life, basically. Until they pawn it off or something, I guess. But, it's your record. Obviously, they got trophies, they got belts, they got other stuff over there as well, too. Boom, Classic, you're on it. So make sure you guys go check them out. Use that promo code GetRight when you do. It'll help support the channel and keep us going here. So enough of that. We'll get to the other stuff later. Let's get into this mock here. Looks like I'm on the clock here again. I was at the 107. I was able to kind of have that last of the teardrop, so to speak. With Joe Burrow, was definitely trying to decide between him, CeeDee Lamb, maybe Jefferson or Chase. But I went Burrow. Basically sets me up to where I could kind of go Trevor Lawrence here and kind of get one of those guys if I wanted to double tap, quarterback right here. But for the most part, I'm gonna go
don't do it
with the guy from our title here, and I'm just gonna go Garrett Wilson.
Ooh, okay.
So obviously, you guys saw the the thumbnail there. Garrett Wilson versus Marvin Harrison Jr. Here in Dynasty, you're on the clock. Which one are you taking? And obviously, we know Kendall's answer here, so we'll let him start off because he took Marvin Harrison here as the wide receiver 4 here off the board. So we'll turn it over to you, our special guest here tonight. Tell us your decision and your thought process.
So the decision is you win either way. That's the real easy thing there. I don't think you should sweat it. Of all the decisions, it's the same position. We're not talking about wide receiver versus running back versus quarterback. And there's some options at these picks at all 3, right? Gotta love them both. I'm taking Marv here. My tiebreaker, if I was to go in the analytics, is just he's the hype right now. And I still kind of remember like when Garrett Wilson was coming into the league, where he would go in rookie drafts, what the hype was. I mean, he was hype, but just nowhere near where Marv was. So in my opinion, when someone comes into the league with as much hype as Marv does in the fantasy community, that doesn't go away. Even if they don't explode right away, the fantasy community just doesn't want to fall off of their like consensus GOAT take, right? It takes so much to peel that away that I'm just going to go and go Marv.
What a QB run there.
Yeah, we go QB run and then we go RB run.
Oh, that's what I meant to say.
Oh,
RB
geez.
run. That was awesome. But great points there, Kendall. What about you, Classic? You're sitting on the clock facing Marvin Harrison Jr. or Garrett Wilson. Who you taking?
So, just like Kendall, I like to kind of be a little analytical. I look through everything. I've gone through everything with Wilson. Last 2 years, wide receiver 21. He was, sixth in targets. That's his rookie season. He was 16th in receptions, went up the year after, was over 1,000 yards each time. But doing that with Zach Wilson, I mean, that's incredible. But then I look at a guy like Marvin Harrison. This kid is coming in. Yeah, we don't know too much about him. He has a great pedigree, size, speed, work ethic. The guy's also 21 years old. He's young. But his teammates, JSN, Chris Olave, even Garrett Wilson himself, all said prior to Harrison being a part of the NFL, they asked him in college, they went, who's the best on this team? Who's the best wide receiver you have? They all said Harrison. Every single one of them. They could have said themselves. They could have said, oh, it's Olave. Oh, it's me. Oh, what do I? No. They said it was Marvin Harrison. And you know what? He had a great quarterback in C.J. Stroud for most of his time. Overall, I do think that this kid is going to be great. Do I think he's going to be great this year? Probably not. Will he be a little bit better moving forward and, the next few years? Yes, I do. I think he'll be he's going to be a star. Like, he's going to be someone where he will have that, he'll be that low-end wide receiver one that can go into the higher echelon when he needs to. I think this year he's going to be a wide receiver, high-end wide receiver two that can be a wide receiver one without a problem. I think he's going to be basically Garrett Wilson his rookie season. I think that's about where he'll be.
Very nice. I'm going to make my pick here, and then I'll give you guys my take on that. I think I'm going to go with, do I want to go young and go Dunze here, or do I want to go a little more proven talent, but just unsure maybe of the situation? I'll take my boy Brandon Ayuk here, kind of coming into his prime right now. A couple guys that could have went there. Obviously, Waddle, could be taking over for Hill here pretty soon. Dunze would have been a good pick there as well, I think. And then, you kind of start hitting that little bit of a tier break there based on who's left. My other option would have been going quarterback. Do I invest in Brock Purdy? Not sure exactly what the Niners are going to do there at that position. I definitely want to see it one more year. And then Dak Prescott, obviously playing at, kind of his peak right now. But in my opinion, I don't want to kind of invest that third round pick into a 30-year-old quarterback. I still can't believe Dak's already 30. I still remember his rookie year. So that was kind of just my thought process behind that. Now, giving you my take back on Garrett Wilson here. As far as, tell of the tape, you guys pretty much hit it nail on the head. I guess I'll try to make the counter argument here, possibly. But in the most part, I'm pretty much with you guys. I mean, you have Marvin Harrison Jr., 21 years old, 6'3" or 4", depending on what website, you're looking at. I'll break out the tape measure myself. But 205 pounds, unofficial 4.46 40 time. He didn't test in the combine or attend the combine.
I found that a little odd. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, when you're that, your stock really can only go down. In my opinion, it's probably a good thing. Could have got hurt, pulled a hamstring, something like that. So he didn't need it. He was already going to be the number one receiver off the board. So you have that. Obviously, number 4 overall pick. Comes in facing basically a fantastic situation. Is locked into a younger, somewhat high-end quarterback in Kyler Murray. Obviously, a year removed now from his ACL injury. Came off it looking good, last year. Yeah. Really only target competition that he has, I would say, is McBride, who I think is going to be the second leading target getter on that team. You got guys like, who is it? Michael Wilson and
Zay Jones.
Greg Dortch. And,
they just signed Zay Jones.
Oh, Zay Jones.
I'm just saying, it's somebody that.
Yeah, he did kind of mess with Christian Kirk when he was over there. So last year, but he had a problem staying healthy all last year. So, I still see they drafted him number 4 overall. They're not giving targets to Zay Jones that they just signed off the street.
No, understood.
When they invested in this guy to be the alpha there, the wide receiver one.
Damn it.
And then just, his physical, attributes and capabilities, showing that ball control, has those, ball tracking skills, really good on the sideline. They always say he's basically just always open, throw it up there and he can go get it in traffic. His ability to move at his size is kind of what makes him almost, freakish. His start-stop ability and just his explosiveness getting in and out of breaks. Just makes it, and Kendall hit the nail on the head. The fact that just the hype right now, that's just a dynasty asset that you want. Yeah. So I think the answer is Marvin Harrison Jr. That's pretty much what we've seen in these drafts. And it is fairly close. In this one specifically, we had Puka Nacua go ahead of Wilson. But for the most part, in all the mocks I've been doing, they've basically been going, back to back.
Yeah.
So I'll turn it over to anyone else who kind of wants to take over. And
we have a question in the chat.
Hit the chat. Let's go.
Robert, he goes, in a start, 2 tight ends. So 2 tight ends starting. Tight end it's basically tight end premium. 2-point PPR versus 1 for everyone else. He goes, where are y'all starting to take the tight ends? And this is Dynasty for us. So the one that we're doing currently. So Dynasty tight ends, it can vary. It definitely can vary a little bit. Overall, we saw Laporta go 3rd round. We see McBride going 4th. This is about where these guys are going overall. And it's based on the tight end, to be fair. A lot of these guys, how do you feel about it, Ross?
Yeah, so for me, I think, when you go tight end premium, whether it's just a half point or a full point premium, this one obviously is a full point premium here that Robert's asking us about. And again, we appreciate you, Robert. I don't know if I've seen you in here, so hopefully you hit that subscribe button for us and hit that like button as well. But to me, like when you go about half or full point tight end premium, like maybe you see the tight ends move up maybe about a half to a full round ahead, maybe kind of those top 3. Your McBrides, Kelsey, maybe not so much in a dynasty, but, you're going to see the Laportas, he may go, I wouldn't be surprised to see Laporta go like as someone's, first round pick, that 11, 12 spot. That could happen. To me, that's just still weighting the tight end position too much. You're only starting 1 tight end. So it just kind of makes them get a little more even with the other guys. So when I'm playing tight end premium, basically I'll move the tight ends up just a little bit. You guys all know that I'm not really a big tight end fan anyway. It's just a single position. So I'm not really throwing a lot of high draft assets at a position that I can only start 1 guy. I'm still trying to fill out my wide receivers, my running backs, pretty much before I'm looking, at a tight end, just again, depending on how the draft falls to me. But what do you think, Kendall? What's your thought on tight end premium? Where are you taking tight ends?
So was this just tight end premium, or was the question was it was in a 2 tight end league?
Oh, I didn't even read that all the way. So you are starting 2. Okay, well, you guys should have stopped me.
Well, to be fair, that is not a common league type, but that's fun to theory craft a little bit. Honestly, that's kind of a fun one because it's kind of like the draft a bunch of 1 QB and then go to Superflex and then go to 2 QB. You really got to read the room because you can get boxed out of an entire tier or 2 tiers.
Oh yeah,
without even making a pick. So I think my general strategy is start the tier, don't end the tier. So if you have a chance to grab anywhere towards the top of a tier, go ahead. And then if you can go bully tight end, just go ahead. Especially since the good tight ends are also young right now. It's just kind of interesting.
It's a nice mix. Yeah.
When the best players are also the youngest players in the dynasty format, like I've been liking going bully tight end a lot in underdog best ball drafts right now. When you see like the middling, like tight end 8 through 12s, all go a little bit too high because I think they all sound kind of solid. David Njoku sounds solid. Ferguson, I think is solid, but they're clearly a tier below. And so they all rush to him. So would I rather just, gobble up starting in honestly, the late second to third, I think that would be more than reasonable. And a full 2 tight end, I think probably starting at the 2-3 turn or earlier, I don't think is unreasonable.
Yeah. In a 2 tight end for sure. I think Laporta is a first round pick at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, back half.
Yeah.
10, 11, 12.
You're not
10,
grabbing
11, 12. Yeah, I'm not.
You'll get
I'm
him
not
at the
arguing
turn.
with it.
Yeah, definitely at the turn.
And the second you take him, whoever takes the first tight end starts the run. So the answer is it's never too early, because afterwards you're going to start that chain. It's like taking the first quarterback and knowing, all right, everyone's going to take the next best, but I got the first best, right? Start that run. So yeah, I don't think you can go as early as you want to. I think the question is, how deep do you go? That's the real question. It's not how early, it's how many do you draft, and at what point do you stop loading up at the position? Because if you don't grab the top ones, I don't think it's a viable strategy just to grab a million middling ones, because the difference, they don't break out. You don't see a middling tight end break out. It doesn't happen. So it's either super great, or you're grabbing a bunch just to start someone
to fill a spot. Yeah, like you're just filling a roster spot at that point, hoping for a touchdown. Your classic great or late strategy. But yeah, so good stuff there. What else we have going on here? Anything else you guys kind of see so far in this mock?
A lot of people that I hate right now.
Yeah, we're getting to that part.
I learned you should just never draft at the 210. Just don't ever do it. I took like 16 quarterbacks in the last mock, and I have 0 now. So.
Hey, you know what? Zero. We have seen 0 QB in Superflex before. It sometimes works in your favor. I'm telling you now, we've seen it, and it's kind of crazy when it comes out, like the way that it works out. Don't be surprised.
I don't mind it so much in like a redraft. In Dynasty, to go 0 QB is a little rough. Because again, in Dynasty, you're not really building a team out like for the year, so to speak. Like to me, like in the first 5-6 rounds, like I'm just gathering assets.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like you're just in asset gathering mode, and then just kind of how the draft falls to you, then you start kind of putting your team together. I think once you take your first running back, I think that's kind of what tells you where you're going and what you're doing. So awesome, appreciate that. Absolutely, that's all we need. One a day, man, one a day. So there we go. So what I'm gonna do here, because I got JJ McCarthy, I think I'm gonna go Jordan Addison and get a little stack there going. Like him.
That's what I did.
That's
exactly what I did.
Yeah, I mean, my love for DK Metcalf. I do like T. Higgins. Really was between Addison and Worthy there, but I'll take the guy kind of coming into his second year, and again, because I have JJ McCarthy, I'll take that stack. This mock, I didn't want to wait too long on that second quarterback, so I kind of saw the run that went, picks 1 through 8, and figured there wasn't going to be too much later. So instead of in the 4th round there going somewhere else and getting stuck with Watson or Cousins or Goff, I was like, let me get another kind of young quarterback here and kind of build one of those win now type teams, but that's still young. And then I can have the option to add some bets and maybe add some potential lotto tickets later down. So I kind of like where I'm at here in this 7th spot with the build I have going on. Now the big thing I have to remember is we are doing only 2 wide receiver, but 3 flex. I still basically treat those flex spots as wide receiver spots for me, especially in a full PPR. So it doesn't really affect me too much there. But I definitely have an eye going, looking out for the running backs now. I've seen a couple more come off. And depending on where we're at here, and there's a nice little running back run coming. If I can just get my hands on Jacobs, Swider, Pacheco, or even Swift as my RB1 in this team, I think that's where I might be going now. But Kendall, I want to ask you, what do you think of the DeAndre Swift signing there in Chicago?
Well, if you've seen the background, I'm a diehard Bears fan. So I'm gonna give you the fantasy take. I'm gonna give you the fan take. Fan take is we overpaid for him. All right. Straight up, I think Pollard is just, it would have been a better choice if this is what we wanted. I think Pollard's a little. I'm getting sniped on every pick right now.
Don't even get me started. I got sniped throughout that whole turn right there. Every guy that I was looking to hope come back got took. Oh, I'm so mad.
Sorry, classic.
Oh my God. I'm gonna have to just go real deep in the
Yeah, I like
bag
that pick
test.
though. I like
I,
that
I
pick.
don't hate that pick. Yeah.
Oh man. So Swift. I do think we overpaid a little bit. It's like a weird choice, but their explanation I actually like, and I'm gonna buy into it, right? I don't know if it was GM or coach or who said it, but I think it was one of the coaching staff said they wanted a pass catching weapon. They wanted someone who specifically is a home run hitter out of the passing game, out of the backfield. And so I think they were honestly trying to model it after like an ideal Chiefs offense where we've got our absolute gunslinger in Caleb, and they just don't want to run the ball all that much. I think they want to go full anti-Bears. I think this is going to be a lot of, you have legitimately 4 to 5 options. I'm including Cole Kmet. And if he can just read through the progressions, it's going to be tough. And we haven't had a good check down guy since, remember the Matt Forte days?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I love
mean,
Matt Forte.
Just an animal.
Won championships with that guy.
Moved the chains though, you know.
Hold on. Here's my question though.
Thank you,
I
Junior.
thought they
Let's
got.
go.
I thought they picked up their check down running back last year with Roshan Johnson. Because
I literally had that queued up. I was gonna say, does that mean death to Roshan Johnson at this point?
I mean, and that's what kind of threw me off with them in general. Like they let Deontay Foreman go. Makes complete sense. You're not gonna. There is no convincing. I understand completely. I get it. But at the end of the day, you had these 3 running backs that you had with Khalil Herbert, and then you have Roshan Johnson. I really thought that Roshan Johnson was going to be taking over after Deontay left. Hey, now we're gonna push this. Now you have a 3-headed monster. Like, do you really? I mean, is Swift going to be that main guy, or is this going to be another situation like Philly where Kenneth Gainwell is just waiting right behind him?
Well, here's the thing: when you have a guy like Deontay Foreman, everybody knows what's going to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a running play, right? Now you got Roshan, you got Swift.
Well, he was good.
Doesn't matter who's on the field.
Yeah.
You're gonna, the defenses are still gonna have to be on their toes a little bit in terms of what exactly is happening, right?
Fair
I think
point.
this is more of a who ends up being the better passing game weapon between the two, right? If Roshan really steps it up, maybe it's a 1A 1B situation. You remember when was it Seattle used to do that with I'm trying to think. This is back in the day, a couple years, but it was series for series, right? It wasn't a third down back. It was somebody's going to get two move the chains, right?
Was this before Ken Walker?
This is before Ken Walker. Yeah,
I was going to say, was this like Sean Alexander days?
No,
Are we talking Tiki Barber? I'm pretty sure he had that whole
just
backfield to
after.
himself. Over there.
Tiki?
Rashad Penny was on the team.
Remember, Tiki was a giant.
New England would do that for a little while.
No, didn't
No,
didn't
Tiki
Barber
never
go
quit.
over to the? No, who am I thinking of then that went to Seattle?
It was definitely
Wasn't
not.
Barber?
It was.
I thought it was
not
somebody
Tiki
that
Barber.
went from-
Barber retired from the Giants. There was no way it was a giant, unless it was another giant that went over there. But it was definitely not Tiki. Tiki
I mean,
was
I
a
could
giant.
be switching up backfields too, but it's a rarity. You don't see it as much anymore. But I liked when I saw it. It was all right. And I'm a big fan of. I when I hear running backs actually talk about it, they say, and as a former athlete, I never played football, but I think I get the sentiment that you want to be able to play multiple downs, multiple series, and if you need to take a long break, go ahead, because you get a feel for the defense, you get a feel for the flow of the game. You can kind of read how things are happening, and it might take a few snaps to kind of figure it out, but then you'll get there. If you're coming on and off the field all the time, I feel like you have fresh legs, but you don't have a fresh feel for what's happening. And so I think I could get a sense for how that could be an effective way to play it between the two. If they actually just run a series of, all right, you're getting straight 4 snaps in a row. If we pick up the first down or whatever, all right, then Swift's on. I could see that making some sense. And it allows you to run the hurry up in weird spots. I really love when teams just randomly get a hurry up going when it's not the fourth quarter. And that would be really fun. As a Bears fan, it's like, give me something to watch, and I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, Swift always, to me, I mean, we saw him in Detroit, pass catcher. We saw him as an Eagle. He did go between the tackles and a little bit of the outside. They did involve him in the pass game here and there. They did get him involved with 3 other guys on that, in that backfield with Gainwell and, Boston Scott, but, to a lesser extent. So they were able to move him around, and Rashad Penny. I forgot he was there. I forgot he's in the league. Anyway, that's probably who I was thinking, or who it probably was Penny, and who was the other guy that got drafted with him? There were two guys drafted that year, and it wasn't Kenneth
Oh,
Walker.
the dude with his neck.
Yeah.
What the hell was his name?
Yeah.
Chris.
Chris Carson. Oh, there we go.
There you go.
It was
Yeah,
Carson
okay,
and
yeah.
Penny, and before
Man.
Kenny went out.
See, I got you guys.
See? No, but
I'm
I
not
brought,
useless.
I brought Penny in.
You got it.
Anyway.
You got it.
It took
And I
me-
was on the clock though, so I mean, I'm
whatever.
just saying.
Did
I
you
was
get
on the
sniped
clock.
again? Did it happen?
No,
you got your
No,
boy.
he wanted his boy Jalen Reed.
I got Jacobs and Reed. I probably should have paid attention though, because like I didn't realize I had Jacobs and Green Bay.
You're talking to a guy that picked up the the two passing options and the quarterback for the Falcons. Believe me, I get it. But I did
So
but I did it on purpose. But at the same time, I didn't really want to. Yeah, no, the hype
is real for Atlanta players. Boys,
no.
not even London.
No, I'm all in on the Falcons this year.
He's sold on the Falcons this year. Let's go.
Oh, I'm very sold. And you guys know how much I hated Kyle Pitts last year.
Oh yeah.
And the year before that.
It was more so the quarterback situation.
Well, it was quarterback situation. Oh, my bad. Fantasy Fish was sick. I feel bad. But it was Fantasy Fish couldn't make it because he was sick, and I feel bad.
Hope he feels better.
Yeah, I hope he feels better. We miss him. I was very excited when I saw his name pop into the chat. Anyway, So yeah, I was really low on him, but it was more because of his draft price. And at this point, he unfortunately, Laporta is turning into that. It's one of those guys where, as much as I would absolutely want to have him everywhere, because I do in most leagues, it's one of those things where I don't want to pay a third round price for him. And that's where Kyle Pitts kept going. Everyone's drafting him in the third round, and that means you have to expect him to finish at whatever. He has to be tight end 1 if you're drafting him there. And I just didn't see it, especially with Mariota, with Desmond Ridder. I didn't see any of it. So for me now, he's got a competent Kirk Cousins who made a guy like he made TJ Hawkinson who he is. Anywhere he's gone, the tight end has actually done pretty well. If I remember correctly, he had Jordan Reed when he was in on the Commanders, and Logan Thomas at one point. He had these guys, and they did well when he was there. He knows when to check down, and he knows where to find the tight end. And I'm telling you now, Pitts can only do well. He's always been a talented tight end. It's just at this point now he's got that Matt Ryan back. Because Matt Ryan, as crappy as a fantasy quarterback as he was a really good.
And he won me a championship when he and Julio broke out that year. They went to the Super Bowl. So,
and I'm telling you, man, Kirk Cousins is at that Matt Ryan, tier where he can be. He might be old. He might be, a little over the top. Yeah, he's coming back for an Achilles, but he's still a field general. He can still push the ball down the field and do what he needs to do. And he's going to do that with both Pitts and London. I got the two top guys on that, passing offense, and they're both young as hell, and they're going to be there forever. So I'm happy.
Very nice.
Yeah, I'm happy.
I feel like I'm in a good spot right here.
Yeah, there were a lot of things that I should have done that I'm a little upset that I did, but it's all kind of working itself out.
Junior, really? I thought I was going to get Benson on the way back. I opened my mouth too early. I literally had him queued up, ready to go, taking him in the 9th round. I thought he would last to me.
No,
because I figured everybody else over here, they kind of got their running backs already. I just had to worry about Brokaw. But I didn't think he would have took a rookie running back behind James Conner.
Well,
so I was like, he was going to be my perfect 9th round pick. But shout out to them boys. Reigning, or not reigning anymore, but was a previous champion of the Get Right Fantasy Listener League. So shout out to him there, including his dad in the championship, which was great. Yeah. And then lost in the championship this year. So to Fish and Frank. So shout out to Junior, man. He got me good there. Right when I thought I was in a good spot, it just totally messed up what my thought process was. So do I go Derrick Henry here? Get that guy, just get some guy later. I'm going to go Cooper Kupp, actually. Let's add a nice little veteran here to the roster. I got Reed, Addison, Ayuk, Wilson. I'm pretty young at wide receiver, so I feel as him being my wide receiver 5, I can't really complain given his potential upside there.
Oh, that's definitely a snipe, right? That has to be a snipe.
So we'll see how that goes.
Coleman was my one guy that I was hoping kind of made it to me at one point. I don't know.
So no love for TJ. I gotta hear this take out because I thought TJ and Benson would have been really close for you, Rasta. I think I'm higher than consensus on TJ for sure, but I'd love to hear the other take.
I'm just not big on tight ends early, especially one coming off an ACL. I want to see him fall. If I can get him late, I absolutely will. But with guys still like, George Kittle still out there, stuff like that, like I feel basically once someone takes Kittle, then I was like, okay, if he kind of lands to me next, I can take him and then just grab another, tight end, maybe like a, Schultz or, someone like that kind of at the end, Ferguson. One of those guys to maybe hold over until Hawkinson gets back. But you're right. I mean, he's only 26 years old. Again, real young. We've seen what, he's done in this offense with Kevin O'Connell. They're obviously throwing the ball all over the place there. But, kind of like a classic, I also what made me hesitate is I do have Addison and McCarthy already. Yeah. I didn't want the triple stack, so to speak, although if you were going to stack it, that's not a bad stack. Yeah. So it's still not out of the question, but it wasn't something I was like, oh, let me make sure I, get them here. There's still some, folks here as I'm kind of putting this team together and it's kind of rounding into form. And I'm kind of, I feel like I was able to get nice young pieces that still are keeping me competitive. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to kind of stay in that realm to be like, all right, I'm going to compete, but I also still have some longevity with this team. And so I just kind of wanted to see how some of these vets are going to, kind of fall here in these next couple rounds. Mm-hmm. But yeah, tight end, like in a real dynasty startup, as classic. Like, I don't know if I would even take a tight end in 14 rounds.
No, he probably, most scenarios, he's not taking one until the late rounds. And to be honest, I get it. Then you're going with one of the, you're more than likely getting a older vet that can do well. You're getting guys that are a little bit lower, but at the end of the day, they're still productive. You're getting guys like Dallas Goedert. You might get a guy like Schultz, maybe if he's
Ferguson.
There. Ferguson would probably go before all those.
He might go a little. He's like that first at that later tier to start to go.
Young as hell.
Am I crazy, or can you go even deeper at the position? Honestly, I heard a take the other. I forget who said it. I wish I could shout him out, but they're saying that. Because of the modern coaching and athleticism and camps, you're seeing a lot more like tight ends come out of college that are NFL ready. They can block. Yeah. They're just better athletes. It's like old NBA versus new NBA. Yeah. Everyone's an amazing athlete. It's better. A different game. Yeah. Like,
and can shoot.
You can go all the way deep, like completely forgot names. I mean, I'm out here in the best ball streets as often as possible, but you can go like Cade Otton is perfectly serviceable. You want to go deep? Yeah. Theo Johnson, it might be perfectly serviceable. I mean, who else?
He might be the starting tight end there.
No, he will be.
Big is buried in an.
He didn't even go. Yeah, he didn't even go drafted in our 4-round rookie draft. Like, he got picked up off waivers today. If I didn't already have Schultz, Ingram, who else do I have? Ferguson. Like, I already have like 4 tight ends. Like, or else I would have put a bid on him too. But like, I don't need 7 tight ends on my team.
Yeah,
I'll put it this way. You know how if you do like the straight 0 RB approach, right? You're just drafting all the dart throws. Well, if you're solid at RB, can you go a 0 tight end approach and go Ben Sinnott, Jatavian Sanders, Theo? I mean, you just grab 3 to 4 dart throws at tight end when you would be taking.
You probably could.
Bucky Irving, Will Shipley type of stuff. Like, I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, and it definitely makes more sense, I think, in best ball too. And because you can, take those shots. And especially, again, if you have like those 0 RB builds, typically in a 0 RB build, what people don't kind of realize, I'm not saying you two here on the screen with me, but just for those that are newer out there, when we say 0 RB, you're still drafting a quarterback and a tight end, your single positions. You're still drafting those typically within those first 7 picks or so. You want to get that high end quarterback. You want to get that nice, maybe back end tier, tier 1 tight end if you can. you're not just punting everything and just drafting strictly wide receivers. You got to make sure you get your quarterback and your tight end, because that's how you keep the advantage over that running back position. And I kind of think the same way when it comes to, wide receivers and full PPR. When it comes to my tight ends, I try to make up that difference in my wide receiver 3 position and make sure my wide receiver 3 is scoring higher than someone else's wide receiver 3, which that difference is going to be the difference, and it's still be able to outscore them with my tight end mixed in. So basically, like my wide receiver 3 and my tight end, I feel are going to outproduce your wide receiver 3 and your tight end, even if you have a high end tight end, unless it's like someone like Kelsey or maybe like Laporta. But even Laporta, he was still, as far as tight end, he was still under 15 points per game. I mean, it wasn't like he was Kelsey. Like Kelsey was far and above everyone, So I'm gonna make an interesting pick here. I'll go Blake Corum. I'm gonna bet on.
You want to know something? It was between Blake Corum and Spears.
Why do I keep grabbing guys on the same team though? That's what I'm not liking. I need to pay attention to that more.
No, I honestly, it was between Blake Corum and Tajay Spears for me. I was at that point where I'm like, I want a young, productive running back. This year, you got Spears. He's gonna have Pollard, of course, did like split carries and all that. But at the end of the day, he could be very productive. And then you still have another guy like Blake Corum who's been talked up all off season once he got drafted, and he's a big hit. So I was right in between on that. So yeah, it's a good pick.
Nice. And I probably would have been Spears if JWN still went Warren there. So we could have just ended up swapping.
So Laporta was 14.1 points per game in
right. So he was still under 15. So it's not like he was having some crazy historical, but that tier is now a lot closer.
14.6. So I mean, it wasn't anything crazy.
Exactly.
No love for the Baker show. Absolutely not. I'm
not
just
believing
salty
the Baker and the 100 million.
You guys ever have those dynasty trades where it's like it's an LOL at the time, and then you come back down to earth and you're like, no, I should probably done that. That was the right decision. I could have taken Baker for I think $1 fab or for Ben DiNucci at some point. And I'm like, I just hate the human being so much. He'll never play again. And here we are. And then like the pain of watching someone flip him for like the 109 this year.
Damn you, Soda. I hate you. No, I've seen it happen too many. Yeah, sniped at the end of the round. Anyway, no, that happens all the time. Yeah, in any league that I've been in, it's always happened at least 1 or 2 times. Like one time, I'll definitely tell one of my faults, which is one of my worst trades that I've ever made in Dynasty, and it was basically trading it's a salary cap Dynasty league, so there's values involved and all this other stuff. But I had like Michael Gallup for like $5, and I thought it was a year before they let go of Cooper. And I think they let go of Cooper, and he was going to be like the main guy prior to drafting CeeDee Lamb. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'm going to trade Michael Gallup for the 10. I traded my 10. It was the 110 and the 210 for Michael Gallup. And I did that. And Justin Jefferson got drafted. And, in that spot. So I was very upset.
Dim Boys, explain yourself on your Justin Fields take. You think he takes over this year? I just got to know in the chat.
Oh, God, no.
Just got to know in the chat, my guy. But yeah. Oh, we got our boy JW in here taking J Will, as a Detroit fan, it looks like here. And yeah, I got scared. So I took Gino because I just see a big QB drop after that. He may be the start of that drop for the most part, but I'll kind of take him.
Penix from Mike over there.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that, and I was like, we'll see what happens there. He already has Kirky, I assume. Without even looking, I just assume Classic leaves every mock or
drop. I leave every mock with either. Wait, who are the 2 that I always leave?
There's Cousins for sure.
No, there's always 2. Always 2.
Yeah.
It's always Cousins and Goff.
Roll in there.
Always nice. Cousins and Goff. I will always leave a draft with one of those 2.
Yeah, that's right.
You will never see me leave a draft without one of those.
You don't want to leave a tight end? I mean, you already got Pitts, classic. Why
I don't care.
are you taking 2 tight ends in 10 rounds?
I know what I'm doing.
I
Full
see.
PPR, man.
Trades do happen. Trades do happen.
But at the end of the day, who led all tight ends in receptions last year and in
You have to tell me about it. Got him on my dynasty team right now. Try to trade him to several people too, and no one wanted to bite. And then he had another good year.
You tried me with Evan Ingram, and I almost bit. I was
surprised you of all people didn't get him.
I almost bid on it. I almost did. So you might have to adjust that a little bit, and I might do it.
Started the run though.
The Roll says, "What's up, Roll? Hopefully you're subscribed to us here at Get Right Fantasy Network." Says, "Can you guys start up another mock after this one?" I don't know if we'll have time. We try to keep it as close to an hour as we can.
Yes,
and then when we get done with this, we're going to kind of go through the teams and kind of quickly see maybe who's a contender, who's a rebuilder, who we feel is kind of in no man's land, so to speak. And so usually we don't roll 2 out, but we will be here again next Friday. So if you want to get in the one for next Friday, let me know and shoot me a DM on Sleeper or on Twitter, and we'll try to get you in. But the easiest way is just to make sure you go into that description and join the private Sleeper community. There's a link to join it there. And when we post the mock, we'll post it in there. But really joining the link, if you have your notifications turned on, since he says he is a subscriber, the quickest way, and the people who all got into this mock, the only place that I posted this was in the description. I didn't send out any DMs for this one, and I didn't send out I didn't even make the post on our Sleeper channel. This is strictly for the people that have their notifications turned on. I wanted to see who our true friends are, the full-on degenerates that are checking that description for the dropping of our YouTube videos. So that's the quickest way to get in there, the Roll. So have those notifications turned on. When you see our video drop, head in there quickly, grab yourself a spot. But if you send me a DM, I might be able to pull some strings. I know the CEO of the company. He might be able to do something for you.
There you go.
So hit me up, man. At Rastafari. It's all in the description.
If you're free on other days, man, I'm a bit of a mock degenerate. That is definitely the content I do. So drop me some stuff too. Normally Wednesdays and Thursdays I'm doing stuff. So you got Monday night mocks, you got Friday night mocks. I'm doing a lot on Wednesday and Thursday. We'll find some stuff. But honestly, Rasta, Mike, if the rest of the chat and the folks want to hang out and run a mock, I mean, I think they could probably get themselves together and kind of mess around with it a little bit.
Yeah,
hey, there you go. There you go. You're more than welcome to keep the stream going.
We'll see.
So we'll see. I'm like, I know I'm not. I got work again tomorrow.
I got
that question
stuff to do tomorrow morning. Yeah, I was gonna ask. So in a rebuild,
we're all clicking on it.
Do you keep or sell Zamir White? If you sell, who or what do you want in return? Thanks, just so. Thanks, Clay. We appreciate
that, Clay. 2 subs this stream. Dang, check us out. Appreciate that, you guys. You
Don't
guys
stop
are awesome.
it too.
No,
let's keep it going.
Rasta, if we get to 5, you're gonna do something crazy, right?
I was gonna say we're on a roll. We're on a roll now. Well, if you guys were watching Monday's stream, I was able to get so we all don't forget. Frank said he would gritty at 2,000 subscribers.
Will you draft the tight end if we get to 5?
I'd rather gritty.
Not that crazy, huh?
I'd rather gritty. I don't get crazy like that, but I'm about there though, because Ferguson's kind of here. Ingram and Njoku. I didn't think Classic was going to take 2 tight ends there.
Oh, well, I was thinking about grabbing Ferguson instead, and I moved it.
Yeah, so I'm kind of leaning in Ferguson here. There's another wide receiver that and I don't think I've drafted him yet, but I'd like to get your guys' take once if I do get him here. But yeah, let's go. I'll make you happy, man. Let's draft the tight end. Let's be responsible.
So
let's get Ferguson here.
Didn't, so I don't know how happy I am.
All right, let's answer.
I'll tolerate.
You talked me into it. You talked me into it.
So let's answer.
But yeah, let's get into this question. It's a good question.
Honestly, I mean, dynasty wise, would I sell Zamir White? I mean, it's based on, of course, what you're going to be getting. You're probably not going to get anything more than a a second next year. That would be my guess. If you're looking for picks, players wise, you're probably not going to get anyone. You're not going to get anyone in an upper tier. So you might be almost better off keeping him and just kind of riding it out this year, seeing what happens, and then hoping he ends up going up a little bit to be able to sell him off for a little bit more. So I would probably hold and wait, just see how he's used, and because he has really no one behind him. So I think I would keep him this year, wait till his value goes up, and then sell him. What about you guys?
I'll tell you what,
go ahead.
I know exactly what I would be looking for. All right.
Mhm.
If you can pull it off, right? Timing is everything when you're selling
it's all
your way
timing.
too, 100%. Hold them preseason. All right. Everyone thinks everyone on their team is going to be healthy and awesome. And the Chase Browns of the world are definitely going to be the 1B. And, Shipley will get targets, and everyone thinks that, right? And then injuries happen, and it doesn't turn out how they want to. So running backs are always more valuable in season, particularly later in the season to contenders, right? I don't know if I'd wait that long. I would wait in season for sure, and I would be looking to get a second and a third, or specifically, there's going to be a lot of the rookie wide receivers that don't get on the field early on. It's what happens with rookie wide receivers. If you're not nice little snipe with Franklin there. Now he's gonna suck. He was gonna be
That's
good.
who it
He
was.
came to me,
Damn
but now he's toast.
Yep, that's what I was talking about.
Specifically.
I should have just grabbed him there instead of Ferguson. See, you talked me into a damn tight end, and I missed
If
out
you
on
can
my
get
guy.
Jalen McMillan and like a couple thirds, or if you can get Jalen McMillan in a second, that would be awesome. There's a lot of wide receivers that I love in this draft that I don't think are going to be amazing right away. I think there's a very realistic shot that if Debo and Ayuk are going to be there this season, can you try to go after Ricky Pearsall to a guy that really doesn't have a running back room and needs it? That would be an amazing trade. I would love to do that. Or a guy like Jalen McMillan, who's going to get overshadowed by Godwin in the slot, Evans just running the outside. He's probably going to play X, but he's just not going to get a lot of targets. But I love him later on. So if you can package an underperforming rookie that has a good profile with a second or maybe 2/3, 2/3 in a super flex. If it's one QB, thirds kind of drop off a little bit, but that's exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah. And I kind of agree. I mean, if you've been sitting on White and you're kind of close to contending, he's a good piece to have, but definitely worth selling. As you get into the year, if you see you're not contending, then, it might be a good asset to kind of deal at that point. That just kind of goes for any running back. As far as who do you want return, you guys pretty much hit it on the head. I'm looking for a wide receiver, someone that's just going to have a longer shelf life, especially, if you're in that rebuild. I definitely want to trade those running backs, turn them into wide receivers that have upside. You kind of want to trade for someone that could potentially be in a higher tier than the running back, tier that you're in now. Let's say, and this is literally just like right off the top of the head, let's say you have Zamir White in like your tier 4 or 5 or something like that, right?
Yeah.
If I can tier up and get like a potential wide receiver 3 with that maybe has 2 or 1 upside, then absolutely. And let alone if you could get a couple picks, on top of that as well. If I was looking just for picks, I'd probably do it for, like 201 through 204. I'd want kind of like a high.
I was going to say low end.
High end, 2 second round pick. But
you could probably get realistically you could probably get the 20 anywhere between the 208 and the 212. You could probably get a second next year, most likely for him. But at the end of the day, I think you're going to have to wait a little bit to kind of wait for his price to go up a little bit. I really do think that it's going to take some time for that price to go up. And I'm a little...
I was on the clock. I didn't even know you guys.
Oh my! I was going to say something, but I knew it was going to and it was just too good.
That's why I took it away. Like I was trying to.
I had just added Josh Downs to my queue too, and I was like, Josh Downs, and then I went John Dotson, and then took him out of the queue. Rookie mistake, guys. Set your queue. Set your queue.
I
guess I'm bully tight end now.
I'm a little upset, but anyway. So we
would have at least taken Schultz. Can I swap him out for Schultz, guys? What's going on?
We're not doing that.
Oh, that's a great question.
He used to be my guy, but
I'm still marinating on this question. So the role I'm trying to upgrade from Gibbs to Bijan. would you all throw a third in to get the trade done, or do you value Gibbs about the same as Bijan?
I have a strong take on this.
Go for it.
Go ahead.
Take it.
Gibbs was just as good as Bijan with a 50% snap share.
Yeah.
You want upside? It's the guy that is going as a top consensus RB1, 2, or 3. Take your pick.
Oh, yeah.
With a 50% snap share. 50%.
Oh, yeah.
And that is insanity. And I haven't seen the Falcons offense be great yet. I'd like to see it. I really would like to see it. But Detroit is already good, and I don't think they're going to get any worse. And they didn't add a wide receiver, so targets in the overall offense is going to run exactly the way it was meant to. I think Gibbs has the upside to be like mini CMC, different type of guy, but kind of like, how Eckler used to be back in the day, a much more consistent path to super heavy upside. Probably doesn't have the injury risk because Bijan kind of needs to be a really heavy touch guy. I don't think you need to trade. I would just hold Gibbs. He's super young too.
Oh, completely. I am on board with that 100%. I think Gibbs is definitely the better choice in most situations. I know that they're going to change their particular offense. A lot had to do with the offense and how it was run. They did have an RB1B with Tyler Algier on that roster as well. They still do. They also had a very bad offensive, head coach / offensive coordinator that didn't really know how to use them correctly and weren't, using them the way that they should. Their offensive line for the Falcons is mid-tier. They're right in that middle tier of anywhere between 10 and 20, if you're ranking them. Okay, that's okay. The Lions are top 3. Like, they're in the top 3 of offensive lines in the league. So for me, even with, Dave Montgomery stepping in even late last year, Gibbs blew him away near the end of the year. So I am all on board with Gibbs.
Yeah, and I'll just echo the sentiment that you three basically said there. I think it's a lateral move, so to add a third
for sure.
Isn't worth it. But if it's I always say this too, play fantasy football with the guys that you like.
Sure.
if you want Bijan and you want a piece of Bijan, and maybe this is your only league that you play. Everyone's not a degenerate like me and in 15 or 16 different leagues every year and 5 or 6 dynasty builds going on. Or like our boy Tycoon here. I think he has like 20 something teams going on. Most of them are dynasty.
Yeah.
Then go get your guy. Like, especially if it's only going to cost you an extra third. Like thirds, it's something, but it's not. It's not make or break. You're not going to set your team back 2 or 3 years in your rebuild for trading away an extra third. And with what we know now, there's nothing there that you could look back and say, oh, I shouldn't have done that, at that time. They're all the same age. They're all basically in the same tier. And I'm talking Brees, Gibbs, and Bijan. I basically see them as all the same guy. Take the name off the back of the jersey.
Oh, yeah.
And to me, they're basically kind of in that same tier. If I have one of those guys, I feel like I have that RB1 position and pretty much have an advantage over every team at that position, except for maybe 2 others in any given week. So, for the most part, I would just stick with the guy you have. If you have Bijan, stick with Bijan. You have Gibbs, stick with Gibbs, unless you're willing to part with those extra pieces to get the guy that you want. But most importantly, just play with who you want to root for. If you want to root for Gibbs, then go get Gibbs. I have no problem with that at all. If you want Bijan, go get Bijan. I have no problem with that at all.
Nice.
I was like,
honestly, his worst game was 4 points, and it was versus Dallas, and it was week 17. He had that's his worst game. His next worst game was against Green Bay when David Montgomery went off in week 4. Those were the 2 worst games he had. Everything else was pretty decent. And I am all on board with the Detroit. Basically, the 3 offenses I want some type of piece in one way or another, besides the obvious ones like, the Chiefs and maybe Niners, whatever. I want a piece of the Houston Texans. I want the Lions, and I want who was the other? Oh, and the Falcons. Those are the 3 offenses I want somebody. I don't care who who it is. It could be freaking Darren. It could be Darnell Mooney for all I care. Like I just want.
No, you're gonna care if
somebody.
it's Mooney. You're gonna care if it's Mooney.
I
Ask Kindle. You're gonna care if it's Mooney.
no,
Yo, dude, you're missing the sneaky
no.
upside. Dude, it's all about that Tyler Algier energy, baby. He's underrated.
I love Tyler.
Oh, that's
Algier.
my guy too.
No,
I traded
honestly,
him for Ken Walker.
I
He's
picked
on the
him
board
up.
still.
I picked him up everywhere. Like he's
Very
somebody
nice.
that I've picked up in a bunch of best ball drafts that I've done recently, just because I know, like I'm like, he's going to be involved. He's going to be. I don't care who's there. Like I want a piece of all four. I want a piece of those three offenses. So
Nice.
the roles going. I traded Tua and Quinston Johnston for Herbert. Okay,
I like that trade.
I don't hate that trade. I like that trade. I
that
like
trade.
Herbert very much.
Absolutely. What do you think about that one, Kendall?
Traded Tua and Huge for
Oh, you're on the clock. My bad.
Herbert.
My bad.
No, he's
Hey, help me make this pick
He's
real
got
quick. All right,
time.
I'm between.
Yeah, make
like
your
three
pick.
guys.
I'm gonna go to his next roll. We'll come back to
All
that.
right.
So
All
Roll
right.
says he's getting an offer from Lamar for Herbert. Says he's a Chargers fan, but that's a nice trade. Now that would be one I would consider. I'd have to really know. Like if it's 4 point per passing touchdown, I think it's a no-brainer. If it's 6 point, it's a little closer.
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
But I know our boy Tycoon here in the chat. I'm sure he's
Lamar.
hitting the thumbing out a message right now saying, "Go get Lamar, man."
Yeah.
You know, Lamar still, you know, I mean, he's 27 years young still, coming off MVP season. I mean, we know the upside's there as far as the rushing upside. He's definitely, you know, done better here as a passer. You know, has A Flowers. They didn't really add too much else to the wide receiver core, which is kind of why I like Flowers. And I think Classic did get him here in this draft.
You get your boy. Yeah, I drafted him, but you got your boy Rashad Bateman coming back and doing pretty well. You know, at the end of the season last year.
Oh,
and they re-signed him.
Ooh, that was an F word too. Sorry. Them boys got my Shakir pick. I was like, I thought I was good to go.
Nah.
Found out the team.
I thought about it.
Go ahead, guys.
No, but
sorry.
I mean, they picked up. I mean, right now they ended up signing Rashad Bateman, keeping him involved. They still have. I think they did pick up a wide receiver. If memory served me, I feel like they drafted a wide receiver. In
Baltimore.
Yeah, they drafted.
Yeah, they got Devontae Walker.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, that's right.
I was going to say they got Walker. So I mean, they did draft another guy, but they still have all these pieces with Mark Andrews. They still have Likely. They have a really good, solid team for at least the next 2-3 years. So for him to be a part of that, yeah, of course. You know, like Lamar, got to do it, right? And then you got Henry now, you know, being their lead guy. I mean, come on, you can't go wrong here.
Definitely.
But overall, I was on the clock. But
one?
I like it. It was tough for me because I like Tua.
Okay.
Like, I'm higher on in consensus on Tua, but I love Herbert. Herbert is a special tier above Tua in terms of. Remember the first time you saw Herbert live throw just a silky, smooth 60-yard flick of the wrist?
I was going to say, you remember that time he rolled out and just sideways flung arm that thing? That was one of the most beautiful passes I've ever seen.
My favorite Herbert moment is Hard Knocks, and it was his first. It was when he was first drafted by the Chargers. He's there, and he had Tyrod Taylor there. You know, the whole story was Tyrod Taylor, the whole deal, and you know, it was well before everything happened. And they're showing him in just throwing the ball accurate as could be. I've never seen a guy just from 50 yards out hit the corner. And just every pass, every time. And they challenged him too. They're like, I want you to hit all of these. And he hit all of them in one play. Like, I'm sitting here just flabbergasted. But I saw a lot in him when he was in college, and I liked him. So for me, I was always a big fan of Herbert. I really do like him a lot.
He's just one of those weird situations where he has like all the talent in the world, was surrounded by a ton of talent himself, like in a good situation. Yeah, defense wasn't great. Yeah, he's playing in the same division as the Chiefs. But like, why aren't they winning? Like, it's almost like they're almost empty stats sometimes. Like, is it his decision making? Is he not processing? Like, but a lot of times it was the defense kind of, you know, giving up the game. Like, he'd score 35, but then their defense would give up 38. Like, so you can't really be mad at him for that.
That was early him. And then he ended up, I mean, the beginning of this year, last year, he ended up taking so many injuries with the
the
and
ribs
all
he couldn't
that,
really
even
throw
though
and
he
all
could
that.
still,
Still
even though he
playing.
could still freaking toss that thing.
Oh,
I remember he got up after and he threw
and he
a
was still
bullet for
running
60
in that
yards.
same game.
And I mean, the guy's he's a stud.
I like him.
I
have
love
a
him a
couple
lot.
pieces.
I really do. And at the end of the day, though, the kid is good. So I do like that trade. For Lamar, it's a little different. You might want to hit that accept button and go from there.
Yeah.
So we got Clay back, and he goes traded Purdy, Garrett Wilson, and a late 25 first. So last year's champ. So the 112 for Anthony Richardson, Adunze, and the 25 second. How do we feel about that? That's
okay. So we all kind of had it wasn't like immediately we were like, yeah, no, I think
interesting. I
think
you
lost
like it. It's between. I don't think I love it, but I like it. I'm smashing it every time. But I think A-Rich is a top 5 dynasty quarterback.
I just don't know the longevity. But you also could say the same thing about Purdy, although he does kind of fit that potential mold. But are they going to pay him $100 million? I mean, I don't know.
I think NFL players all have terrible longevity. It's the sport.
Well, of course,
just in general.
My like day trader philosophy in fantasy is the public always overhypes injury prone and longevity. When if you look at I'm not going to pull up numbers or anything, but it's very clear that we always overhype
the average.
Injury prone is not. It's a thing. It's not as much of a thing as most analysts say it is. Like for sure,
it's not sticky.
Like CMC is not necessarily injury prone. He's just a running back, right? Justin Herbert is not injury prone. He just has a bad O-line and things. You know what I mean? Like
Daniel Jones isn't.
I'm not saying it's not a thing, right? But
no, I know.
I saw him game 1. What were we all talking about with A-Rich? A-Rich was supposed to be like, thankfully he's got his legs because it's probably going to take him a season to learn how to throw the ball, right? And he comes out and he's finding Pittman open, like not because Pittman was creating separation, which he was doing okay, but he was throwing. He was way ahead of schedule, way ahead of schedule. And I can't. I mean, I live in Indiana. I can't say like I'm a big insider with it, but everything I've heard from every source that I can is that he's got that that Lamar Jackson dog. Like someone was talking about. I think it might have been. I'll get the source later, and I'll make sure I post it in the sleeper. But they said they were talking to him about he's not going to have a chance to win Rookie of the Year, and I guess he was sitting on the couch. He's just like, I guess I got to go win MVP.
Right.
I'm like, oh, you dog.
There you go. I like that. I like the mindset there.
My only thing with the Rasta already knows how much I hate the rushing quarterback. And I understand for fantasy football, it is the dire need you need to have. I get it.
Cheat code.
It is a cheat code. I mean, the guy
classic for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, if you look at his stats from last year, I'm looking at them right now. He made under 70 or less than 70 attempts. He didn't have a lot of completions either. I mean, I got to go all the way to the bottom here to see how he did. So he had 80.
Well, I think where you need to start is the fact that he only played 2 full games.
No, he played 4 games and he ended up having.
No, he played 2 full games because he left 2 of them early and missed 1 out of the 5.
Still, and he ended up having 20. He ended up having 19 to 20 points in each of those games that he played. So that's the crazy part in my head. I'm looking at his numbers. I'm seeing 10 attempts, 6 completions for 56 yards, and he ends up having 2 rushing touchdowns for 35 yards on top of it. So then I go there and I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, okay, can he sustain numbers to be relevant?
Not if he's taking the hits like he did on those 2 touchdowns, that's for sure.
Those 70 attempts were definitely more than he's ever thrown in college, right?
Oh, agreed. But his first game, like you said, 37 for 24 and 223 and a touchdown and an intercept. Like that's what we want to see. Like I've always been the guy that you need to finish the year with at least 4,500 passing yards, and you need to have at least anywhere between 300 and 500 rushing. And then but then it's all based on certain factors. And then on top of that, the touchdowns add to it too. If you're only going to get 26 passing touchdowns, you need to have a certain amount of rushing touchdowns. So it's one of those things where just to be in that top 10, could he be? Of course. But to be that for seasons to come, Purdy, I think is a little bit more stable. Or no, who are we talking? Yeah, Purdy.
Yeah, Purdy.
I think he can be a little bit more stable and not rise as quickly and drop down. Like, to me, Anthony Richardson is just boom bust comparatively to Purdy, who's going to stay very consistent and what you want. Now, I like the trade, and it's exactly what the role said. Bold take, Rome and Wilson about damn near cancel each other out, and I have them within 3 spots.
No, not a bold. It's not a bold take. Prospect profile, Rome is better wide receiver than Garrett Wilson coming out of college. Not completely. A bold take. Rome is a better wide receiver. On that.
No, we don't even have to argue.
We're all in agreement there.
I thought Adunze was probably the better wide receiver out of, at least for Nabbers and him, because we can't. Harrison was in his own tier.
So different types of players too. I mean, you're very apples and oranges, right? So coaching ecosystem could be the difference between those two, right? Because they play such different.
Oh yeah, and especially him being in Washington. I mean, completely different, teams, offense, all that stuff. I get it, but Adunze, just his athleticism and the way that, like, his profile, he was the number one guy. Even Harrison was like third in that, I think, if I remember correctly. So I mean, it's one of those things where I do agree with that. I think that they pretty much cancel each other out, and it's then you're really trading Purdy and a late first for A-Rich and the second, right? Yeah. So, yeah.
I still probably take the A-Rich side.
Yeah, I'd still probably lean the A-Rich side. Yeah, I mean, even though I talk bad about him for a minute, but yeah, I still like it. I like Adunze. I was actually gonna ask Kendall, because of being the Bears fan, and of course we wanted to get your take on it in general. This year, what do you feel compared to future?
So I mean, this year's going to be rougher. I'm not going to say it's going to be rough, because I think the popular take is Rome is going to blow up after this year. It's going to be a rough year, right?
Okay.
It's going to be rough, but not just because he's buried by a bunch of other players, right? I don't think that's actually the take. One, rookies don't play that many snaps until like week 8. Okay. That's everybody. Amon-Ra, love him to death. Drafted a ton of them. Look at his week 4 stat line.
Most people dropped him before he even blew up.
Yeah, he was waiver fodder and stayed waiver fodder until later. That you got to learn
Christian
the playbook.
Watson.
Okay, you've got incumbents that already know the playbook. Right, you got a lot of learning to do. There's just a cultural aspect.
You got to learn how to be a pro.
Yeah,
right. That's
in general travel.
That's going to be a thing. Now, that's where I think Rome is way ahead of things, because he is a leader. I was listening to the Herd. They had TJ Husmanzada come on the Herd.
Nice.
And so and TJ, right?
Teaching him. Yep.
The West Coast wide receiver whisperer, right? He's kind of the dude out there. Does a lot of stuff with the Chargers and whatnot. Yeah. And TJ said he is Larry Fitzgerald but faster, and probably will be better. And he's like. And I compare him to Larry because he sees Rome as a guy who can like be a leader in the NFLPA. He's that guy that will always do the right thing. So, okay, why was Kyron getting 90+% snap share? Because the coach freaking loved him, because he's that guy, right? Notre Dame's 15 minutes away from me. They do have a certain culture over there, and it's all over town. I knew Kyron was going to be good in that spot because he was going to be a coach's guy. Rome's going to be a coach's guy. So here's why I think it's going to be rough. Okay. Caleb could break all the rookie records. And CJ Stroud, after breaking all the records, was the QB what?
QB 11. He was 11.
Like he was still down there.
Almost a QB2 is an accurate statement. I mean, that's just how it is when you're a rookie quarterback. I mean, he might get elevated because his running backs are going to catch for as many yards as they rush for, so that's helping Caleb a little bit. Yeah. But that's why Rome, the culmination of it'll take him a while to get on the field. That will hurt his overall finish, right? He does have a lot of target competition, and he's going to play the X when Keenan Allen is going to be open faster. And it's just a better decision to get Keenan the ball. It won't be Rome's fault. Rome could be wide open. He'll just be open 0.7 seconds too late, and it will be okay. Right? Those are the reasons. And that's why I like Rome is going to be a buy all day for me, because his stat line is going to be way worse than his actual NFL production. Then you go into year 2, Keenan leaves, right? And all of a sudden, guess who doesn't leave the field on any snap? The X wide receiver. Every single play he's going to be on the field, and he is going to absolutely explode. And so I like Rome for the long term. I do think you got to be ready for a wide receiver 3-ish finish pretty much week after week with him. You know, if I'm taking Rome, if I end up in a dynasty draft, like I have him here, right? The rest of my draft has to be a certain way. I cannot start taking a bunch of win now players, because my 310 is a year 2 guy, right? So you just got to know what you're doing when you're trading for Rome. It has to be a for the future play. You don't want to trade for Rome and get, you know, Derrick Henry. That's an extreme example, but you get the philosophy behind it.
Understood. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, if memory serves me correctly, I think prior to last year with CJ Stroud, most quarterbacks in fantasy, if they're a brand new freshman out the gate, cannot have a wide receiver produce more than, I think it was wide receiver 19 for fantasy. So I think that's like the highest that it's ever been prior to Stroud, who made Nico Collins, wide receiver 9. Prior to that, it was 19. And that was the new record. So do I see this being like, is he going to be a stud right out the gate? Probably not. But do I think that he's going to be something in the next year or two, like after week 8 of this year and on? Yeah, of course. I think this kid is going to be something. I saw something special in him with, when he ran the combine. Staying back and running, cone drills to get it right. I mean, honestly, I loved his drive. I loved his personality. I loved who he was. Like you said, a leader. He was that guy. And I wanted the Giants to draft him more than anything. I wanted him over Nabers, to be fair. But at the end of the day, I'm fine with Nabers. I mean, I'm getting 1A, 1B. I'm not really getting anything different. But they're both very effective. I liked his personality. I liked the person he was. I loved all of that. So I definitely have the same sentiment. I think he can be somebody that is, probably going to finish the year in the mid wide receiver 2 or low wide receiver 2, probably. But I think he has the more potential to be someone like high wide receiver 2, low wide receiver 1 come after, after that, in the future. So,
yeah, appreciate the comments from Roll, man. Roll's bringing us some good stuff here.
Ooh, he has another one.
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys get to this one already?
No, I didn't. I just saw that.
This guy he loves talking about my lineup, man. Keep it going. We can talk about my giant. We
Let's
can talk about my draft.
Right?
It's cool.
For
it's
sure.
All right.
So wide receiver 4-5, Marvin Harrison Jr. is not that big of a difference from wide receiver 11, Rome, who's his wide receiver 11, and he doesn't view that big of a difference between him and Marvin Harrison Jr. Okay. And yeah, I mean, when it comes to rookie, the rookie drafts, I mean, they literally were going 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
And again, they're all basically on the same tier. And if you want to put MHJ in that kind of tier above, but you're basically talking apples for apples at that point. At least from what we know
the
now.
big difference from a draft standpoint, though, is Harrison could be a top 5 wide receiver year 1. You can have him
he's like on that
now
JJ,
roster. Yeah, and I'd say like
Chase.
The probabilities that his upside is something we maybe haven't seen in a while. It literally could be, JJ Chase type of stuff where I think Rome, I don't want to sell him short on that, but I want to say we'll call it
just may go that normal
favorable
path.
Range of outcomes is like he's more Amon Ra, or that's a bad comp. I think you guys know what I'm saying. He's more like AJ Brown, right? Where he could be Rome's a little more of a 4 to 7, but I would need to see it on the field with a plethora of weapons. He would have to be so ridiculously dominant on an offense that I think is going to spread it around for a little while, because DJ Moore isn't going anywhere, and you're not really projecting a wide receiver 2 in any other offense similar to DJ Moore outside of like T. Higgins, but I think DJ Moore is significantly better than T. Higgins. So it's just one of those offensive ecosystems. How do you stat a team out to give Rome until year 3 that type of JJ ceiling? Right. So I think that's kind of the difference is ultimately it's going to take him 3 years to get to ridiculous elite status. Plus Caleb needs to develop immediately into year 2.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, for me, I would probably have Odunze a little bit higher than Nabers. I think I would have Marvin Harrison Jr. and Odunze 1 and 2, and then I would probably have Nabers at 3. And the reason being more because of the stability at quarterback for longevity. I mean, let's be real. Daniel Jones ain't going to be there next year unless he has some type of season that we've never seen before,
like he did in his contract year.
Yeah. And not even in that contract. I mean, it wasn't even that good in that contract.
Or is it
even if he does, doesn't it just help? They're rooting for it so that they can trade him.
Actually trade him, right?
Yeah. They want to be able to get something for him.
Instead of getting a 5th, like Fields or whatever, Fields was a 6th, right? They might be able to get a 2nd for him,
Maybe. But even then, the whole
I can't get a 2nd for him, so the NFL ain't getting a 2nd for him.
But that's my point. I mean, at this point, Daniel Jones is going to be out next year. This is a 1 year thing with these two. After that, I'm a Giants fan. I have no idea what's going to happen after this year, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be a rough go for Navers moving forward because who are you going to get in? You're going to get some. What are we going to get? We're going to get Russell Wilson from the Steelers, and then they they keep Fields, and we go from there. Or we're going to get some random person, random vet that we don't want. No, we're going to keep Drew Lock going. No, it's going to be somebody that's going to be in a much worse situation. It's almost like the Jets with Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, you might have Aaron Rodgers for maybe this year, maybe next year, but then who are you getting after that? Because next year's class ain't going to be like this year's class in any shape, way, or form. So you got to rely on a vet. What vets are going to be available by then? I don't know. There's not really many other guys that I really think are going to be available in the coming years that we could invest in and, to be productive.
Hey, man, if all else fails, man, bring back old Josh Dobbs. All right. Roll him down for a season. All right.
No, we're good. I think the only guy reasonably that could be around might be Trevor Lawrence. I know they picked up the 5th-year option, but he's the only other guy that's on that tier of QBs and in the age and everything that we could maybe afford in one way or another, because I don't see anybody else. I'm looking at everybody's roster and I'm like, nope, nobody. Nobody. So
sorry, classic mediocrity for the next 10 years.
Hey man,
welcome to being a Giants.
I had years.
You guys grab Hendon Hooker.
Oh God, that might actually be decent. But
that could work.
Unfortunately,
I should just trade with Atlanta and go get Penix or trade for Cousins. You would love Cousins.
I would love. Oh my God,
you could offer the Falcons $200 million for Penix, and they would say no.
No. I wanted Kirk Cousins. I actually wanted Kirk Cousins over anybody else for when he was a free agent. I was like, oh, the Giants. This would be great for the Giants.
I'm just going to read this. A-Rod said Marvin Harrison Jr. going to be wide receiver 1, Rome's wide receiver 3. I don't know if he's referring to their team or overall, but just wanted to read that out. Appreciate it.
Go to extra point. And so the extra point FFB, he goes, what if sort of Sanders...
Short take on this because we're getting close to an hour 30. Oh, this isn't Giants talk, but give me your quick take.
Whatever. He's not going to the Giants. It's not happening. I don't care if they're the 101. I don't care if they're the 101. They're not going to be taking Sanders, and it's only because Dion already said he ain't going to the Giants. So.
Oh, there you go. See, I was going to say Dion ain't letting it happen.
You know what?
Dim Boy says Giants going to go sign Dak.
You want to know possibility? I actually would be okay with that. I would be okay with it.
Could work. Yeah, not bad. All right, so I'll give you guys a moment to look over the draft. I had a chance while you guys were going on there about Odunze. We won't look at our 3 teams, but let's just look at the others. And basically what I want to do, we'll bring the board back up here. let's just go through quickly. We don't have to like highlight the whole team, and maybe we'll just, we all won't give our take on each team. But let's just at least put them in a category of contender, rebuilding, year or two away, or you're screwed, or whatever you want to say for like someone that you're just like not feeling the team. So let's start with Tycoon here. So he goes Allen, Daniels, and Penix as his QB room. As RBs are Saquon, Connor, Eckler, and then Lloyd. So 3 older backs here. So obviously, just kind of looking at the running backs, you can kind of tell he's built to contend now. Has Bowers and Andrews, so playing a little bully tight end there as well. Has some trade potential. So I like that.
These are set shallow benches too.
Wide receiver room is AJ Brown, JSN, McLaurin, Ridley, and Lockett. So if you had to put Tycoon's team here in a category, Kendall, where would you put him? You think he's a contender?
Yeah, I think he's
to contend.
I think he's a contender. Yeah, I would say he's a contender, particularly McLaurin and Ridley. Definitely are for that position in the draft. He's going to be contending. Andrews is. I mean, everyone on his roster looks like they're going to put up points. His RB2 is Connor. I mean, it's late, going to produce. And I think Eckler's kind of a sneaky, like, could actually be a reasonable, in terms of RB3 in the 12th round. I think that could be pretty solid. He's contender, but he's going to have to either contend or do something quick. McLaurin and Ridley and Connor are going to run out of room really fast,
real quick.
I think this is a team that it's flexible. It's contending, but if it's not looking good for the playoff run, it's going to sell immediately. It's going to sell McLaurin. It's going to sell Ridley, and it's going to flip to next year. And otherwise, it's going to go all in.
For sure. We all agree on that one.
It's contending.
All right. So we'll move on here. Brocal, he goes CJ Stroud, Jared Goff, and no QB3. We have in his running back room Zamir White, Alvin Kamara, Nick Chubb, Zach Moss, and Wright. Wide receivers are Tyreek Hill, also with Miami, Nico Collins, Xavier Worthy, Ladd McConkey, Xavier Legette, and Cortland Sutton. So where would you kind of put this team? I have it kind of like right in the middle.
He's right on. I'd put him just above the middle. Like, I'd say
like a top 6 team,
top 4.
Okay,
I agree. It's a good draft. I mean, I think it's a good draft.
I think he has a solid
it's
team.
flexible because it's solid. Yeah.
And on top of that, he's young enough in certain positions that he'll do fine, moving forward, and he doesn't have to really sell off too much. Yeah, I mean, it would be cool if he had another tight end, of course, but at the end of the day, it's still a viable team that can do well. You have Hill, Collins, and Sutton to at least round out your beginning part of the year, and then you can see what Worthy and McConkey do and Legette. But I mean, I do think
good
like
assets,
4 or 5. Yeah, just good assets, good
with producers and some kind of lotto tickets there as well too.
Yeah,
so
I'd
put him I'd put him in that 4 to 6 range. Myself. So we got a Flag RJ here in the 3 spot. His quarterback room is Mahomes, Lawrence, and Daniel Jones. Running back room is Jamar Gibbs, Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones, and Vidal. And wide receiver room is DJ Moore, Tank Dell, George Pickens, Amari Cooper, Kirk Cousins. What do you guys think of this team? Contender? Somewhere in the middle?
This is 1 or 2 for me.
This is one of the best teams year one. Yeah, I agree with Mike.
I'm
really
happy
solidly.
with this.
Yeah, he's I think top 2 team, top 2-3 team for me as well too. So
and he's got a lot of flexibility later on too. So
so well done. We got our boy Phil here in the 4 spot. Hopefully he's tuning in here to us. How's it going, man? He goes Jalen Hurts and Aaron Rodgers in his QB room. So kind of one on each end of the spectrum there. His running back room is Christian McCaffrey, Kyron Williams, Derrick Henry, Tyler Algier. Wide receivers are Neighbors, Smith, Higgins, Brian Thomas, A.D. Mitchell, and Dotson, and then Wilson here.
Nice.
And then tight end is David Njoku. So where do you guys think Phil's team comes in? Oh, I don't know if I'm supposed to be using his government name. My bad. P. Ruskin. I always
no,
forget, if people are want me using their real names on here. But yeah, so where do you guys have him roughly in your ranks here? Is he contending?
Right around flag.
Yeah, I agree with Mike.
Top
I
three?
loved it. I think he's right there with Flag, but I actually think he's set up better for the future. I mean, those wide receivers are
much younger,
pretty nasty. I mean that he could be good for a long time. If AD Mitchell and one of Dotson or Wilson has like an above average like that he's never going to need a wide receiver for a long time.
All right, so the extra point FFB is good old PR your skin. Yeah.
PRS. All right, so there it is. Yeah, I think
he made the Kyron in the fifth work. I couldn't make Kyron in the fifth work. He taught me how. Well played. Well played.
I like it.
Good job. Good job. All right, so we're gonna skip Classics team here. We'll go to JWN 71 here in the 6th spot QB room. Anthony Richardson, Deshaun Watson, and Derek Carr. Running backs are Bijan Robinson, DeAndre Swift, Jalen Warren, Devin Singletary, and Gus Edwards. Wide receivers are Chris Olave, DK Metcalf, Coleman, and Jay Will. Oh, and Jerry Jeudy. So where are we thinking this team's at?
Top 4.
I think it has to be a contender.
It has
just
to be.
Based on the pieces, a little older.
I mean, but it's a
sprinkled
good mix
in with some younger guys too.
But it's a good mix. It's a young mix with running back, good young mix with wide receiver. You have a little bit of both for the QB as well, and Kincaid being young tight end. I really like this build.
I kind of have it in that 3 to 6 range if I'd have to kind of narrow it down there. So I'd say it's 3 to 6, not quite 1 or 2, but I definitely think it's in the top half.
I don't know if he did it on purpose, but I'll tell you, I think he drafted very, very well for this exact format of 2 wide receiver, 3 flex.
Yeah.
If this was a 3 wide receiver league, I would have to ding him a little bit for being a little shallow and potentially having some hit or missness. But for this exact 2 wide receiver format, he gets a couple extra points and is a very, very balanced build.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot.
Good RB depth. That's again, may not have totally flashy names, but besides the RB1
they're solid,
Bijan, but solid kind of producers you kind of just stick in there. May not be tradable per se, but they're just good guys to have on your team.
And
all right, so we'll skip this abomination in the 7th spot, and we'll move on to Them Boys Jr. here, drafting the 8th spot. His quarterback room is Caleb Williams, Drake May, and I don't even know who this is. Jordan Travis. Okay, there we go.
Nice.
So there we go. So he gets his 3 quarterbacks, all rookies this year.
Yeah.
His running back room is Devon Achane, Trey Benson, and my boy B Rob down here. And then he got Irving down here, Bucky Irving down here, that's a great pick. That was actually who I would have loved instead of Mostert there, but he sniped me twice at least with those 2 running backs. So is what it is. Good job, Junior. And then wide receivers, Puka Nacua, Jalen Waddle, Rashee Rice might have been the only kind of weird pick there. I don't know where I'm at with Rice. And then gets Malachi Corley down here, which I think was a great pick as well. So I have him, kind of probably more like 6 to 8 kind of range. Like, I don't know if he's going to compete right out of the gate, but he's young. He has a nice core.
He's 2 years out.
Yeah, about a year or 2 out from being a contender. Yep. You'd have to sell off Kelsey, I think, which you can hopefully get to a contender
this year.
It'd have to be into a contender. So that'd be the only pick maybe that kind of is out of line with this build. But other than that, I like it. So
I love this build for 2 years from now, or a year from now.
This is like one of those first year productive struggles, however you want to call them.
This was like your team that you had a few years, like a year or 2 ago.
Yes, sir.
Like, honestly, it was 2 guys that, 2 wide receivers that you were like, that everyone was like, why do you want these guys? And then it all worked out the way it was supposed to. And, guys like Rice, this year is going to suck. You don't know what's going to happen. But dynasty-wise, the guy could be an absolute
That's
steal.
why I beg to differ a bit, because look what happened with J-Mo. like you start missing games, you don't get a be with the team and
but you
around
see
them,
them
then they kind of
slowly
they
going
keep
up.
moving. Yeah,
I
but they
get
keep
it.
moving. You know, they got Hollywood, they got Xavier Worthy.
I
get
it.
It's
but
just they got a tight end who's pretty good.
Wow.
So it's just that's where I'm kind of at. But other than that, man, I like the build. I like the construction of it. He's just a like first year struggle, productive struggle as I'd call that. But he's set up very nice for the future.
Yeah.
So we're all good there.
Yeah. I think we can all agree with that.
So we got Dim Boys here in the 9th spot. We'll try to get this thing wrapped up here. He goes quarterback room with Jordan Love, Brock Purdy, and Justin Fields. His running back room is James Cook, Tony Pollard, David Montgomery, and Jerome Ford. Excuse me. Wide receiver room is Lamb, Pittman, Debo, Watson, Myers, and Shakir. And tight end is George Kittle. So what do you guys think of this team?
Top 5. He's top 5.
Top 5 for 2 years. I think he's like a weird mix of like he's going to start aging out in a year or two.
Yeah.
He's set at quarterback. It's like I think he's a couple picks away from being elite, but he has more than just like he has more than he can compete this year and next year for sure. So if he plays savvy, he can either compete harder or he can quickly do a big sell off. If he just flips CD for just a billion picks and does something else, that it's good. I think I agree. Like top 5, little bit of runway.
Oh yeah, no, I like it.
Yeah, I like the build too. The only questionable pick is just Fields.
If you
That's the only one I
question.
question.
Montgomery, he just has like 1 or 2 picks from like so close. I think just flipping Monty.
You can flip Monty now though. You can't flip him next year. You got to flip him now.
I mean in the draft, like I would have taken Benson at 8-4, and all of a sudden given myself Benson with Cook, and all of a sudden you extend your runway by quite a bit. I think
I would have done White. I probably would have done White because Benson, as good as I think he could be, I would have probably went White and see if Benson came back around and maybe get a quorum.
Well, he definitely wasn't coming back around because he went the very next pick. And he wasn't making it for sure because I was grabbing him in the 9th.
No,
so he definitely wasn't making it back.
I'm saying if I'm picking in the 8, I'm gonna take the risk that he might come back, and then there's plenty of guys available after that.
Very nice. All right, so good job, senior. The Dim Boys household over there is doing well here, so appreciate you guys. And Dim Boys, our very first subscriber to Get Right Fantasy, also long ago. So he was in the very first Friday Night Mocks, or I don't even know if we called them Friday Night Mocks back then, but our very first mock draft ever. He was there, and he's been with us ever since. So I appreciate him and the family over there. They're all Get Right supporters, so love him over there. And he'll also be doing a show here on Get Right Fantasy. Had some stuff come up, but he's going to be the host of the Fantasy Dead Zone. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. All right, so we're going to skip Santos, cut Mr. Kindle's team here in the 10 spot, and we'll move on to Wilson here in the 11 spot. His QB room is Tua, Dak, and Stafford, who he sniped me on there late. Running backs are Rashad White, Isaiah Pacheco, Najee Harris, Zach Charbonnet.
Love it.
And Keaton Mitchell down at the end. Great pick there. Wide receiver room, Jamar Chase, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Mike Evans. Whew, that's scary.
Yeah.
With Keenan Allen and Mike Williams to round it out. And his tight end just went with one tight end and Dalton Schultz in the 11th. Great value.
I was going to say,
to me, this is like my top one or two team.
1 or 2, yeah.
I would have changed a couple of picks, even though I would have changed a couple of picks.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have
Najee,
because he sniped me on. I'm counting six
at least. Yeah. He drafted what I
flip
like.
My entire team with his.
Yeah.
But through pick 8, I wanted to flip both of our teams just entirely, and I was so pissed.
He's good at that.
That means I just have to love him.
Wilson
well done, Wilson. So Dim Boys may have been our first subscriber, but Wilson is like our number one fan. I think he's watched probably more videos than even myself.
Yeah.
He's caught every single show
Wilson,
that we've done.
We gotta shout him out. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. You go ahead, Classic.
Wilson.
Check out our Twitter.
Check out our Twitter. We got a really fun gift today. Michael Fabiano, reaching out, giving us nice words. kind words about our channel and telling us to check us out and everything. So, Wilson, can't thank you enough. Really do appreciate that. And,
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
There it is. You're right, Dim Boys. Wilson is the man.
Yes,
So good stuff there. Even though Dim Boys doesn't have Twitter, just so you know, Dim Boys. Oh, he might have. He may have saw it.
No. He goes.
Oh, he goes to like someone else's.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No,
I was like, he might have
Dead
gone
Zone
around
Fantasy.
it.
No, he set up Dead
Oh
Zone
yeah,
Fantasy
because he has
Show.
his
He
Dead
goes
Zone
through that.
Fantasy channel now.
Yeah.
Okay, not a personal one, but he has it for the show. So he must have checked it out too. So yeah, Michael Fabiano, man, that was awesome. All right, so let's round this thing out, man. Shaw Dog here in the 12th spot. His quarterback room: Justin Herbert, Kyle Murray. Rounds it out with Baker Mayfield. Running backs are Jonathan Taylor and Travis Etienne. I was hoping JT made it back to me there in the third, but in the fourth, but he swiped him there. Wide receiver. Oh no, then Ramondre Stevenson, and that's it. Just the three running backs so far.
Yeah.
Wide receivers are Devontae Adams, Steph Diggs, Chris Godwin, Deontay Johnson. I know that hurt. Sniped me for Trey Franklin Troy Franklin over here, and then went with QJ and rounded out with D Hop in the 14th. Kate Otten is his tight end, who we talked about during the draft there. So where do you guys have this team?
This is more just after that 5. Like I'd say 6 to I'd say like the 6 to 8 area, but it's very competitive. It's going to die quickly.
Like if I had to rank it, I'd probably rank it as like a top 3. But if I had to rank it as far as teams I'd want to take over, if it's an orphan, probably closer to like the 8 or 9, just because. Yeah, it's going to age out.
It's going to
burn quickly there in some key positions.
It's like a phoenix. It's going to burn real hot, real fast, and then it's just going to.
It's going to very easily be like the year one winner for sure. If Devontae Diggs and Godwin back in the slot, like this could easily be just like wow, he beats everyone by 20 points. What the hell?
Oh yeah, no, definitely for sure. But at the end of the day, do I want this for
playing
long-term
Dynasty?
agenda? No.
Yeah, I every time I draft this type of team and I get second place, it just feels so bad.
Yeah.
It just feels so bad.
Yeah.
And this one, I mean, like my mini take on this though is like this helps to know your league before you even do your startup, because if this is the league where you can sell Steph Diggs if you miss the playoffs by some ungodly reason for a first or more, and sell Adams for a first or more, like you get your shot at it and you get to flip for massive like name value. The sharper the league you're in, the more this is going to hurt you. If you're going to play 5+ years in this league, this is going to hurt you a little bit. I think for like a real money dynasty startup, I don't know that it's where I would go, but I do think it has top 3 chance easy to win in year 1 with making 0 moves.
Right. Yeah, like no trades, fairly minimal injuries. You're competing.
Yeah. My
like
thought process was more
or
long term.
I
was thinking of like in the long term, is it going to win now? Probably. It's
me and you have been hurt too much before to know that even when you're win now, it just doesn't happen the way you need it to.
You get an injury. You have, Chase and Burrow. You have DeMar Hamlin go down and they just cancel the game and you lose a championship by 9 points when you still had Burrow and Chase to play.
Oh my god!
Just stuff like that happens. It's brutal. Still not recovering from that knee.
My brother died.
Gosh. So there we go, man. So again, we appreciate everybody coming out for that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Since we haven't been able to like do the grading and stuff like that, I at least wanted to take a little bit of time here at the end of the stream to give some of our feedback on the teams. We've had a lot of people asking for it. But of course, Frank has been wanting to mock on Mondays, which is fine with me. But the people want their grading. They want their grades. They're used to it. We've been doing it for 3 years. They know they come to get right. We mock on Fridays. We grade it on Mondays. Get your feedback so you can come do it again on Friday again. So there we go. So we appreciate that. One thing I got to say, of course, play to win. There you go, Shaw Dog. I agree. Go get it first, and then you can, your rebuilds will be paid for instead of paying for your rebuilds. So there you go. Appreciate that, Dubs. Awesome. Appreciate the sub there for you guys. And there we go. And before everyone starts shutting off the stream, man, let me tell you about our boys over at underdogfantasy.com. For those who don't know, Underdog Fantasy is the best and easiest place to play fantasy sports. From their best ball draft tournaments, which means you just draft your team, no season long, commitment, no waivers, no trades, no weekly lineup setting. And for those of you guys who don't know, I did place 42nd place out of 70,464 people. $4 entry, and won myself over $400 last year in the Chihuahua. I think it was the Chihuahua 4, or something like that. But either way, if I can do it, you guys can do it. Go check it out. They have, Best Ball Mania, $25 buy-in, win, $1.5 million to first place. They have their puppy, which is only a $5 buy-in, $50,000 to first place. The Chihuahua, which is the $4 buy-in, $30,000 to first place. And then they even have like higher stakes if you guys want to go there. Like their big dog, $500 buy-in, and $500,000, $500,000 to first place. So make sure you guys go check them out. They also have the pick'em contest where you just pick higher or lower on player stats, like total yards, touchdowns, sacks, interceptions. They have it all. So make sure you check that now. So go visit underdogfantasy.com or download the app from your app store. And when you do and you sign up, make sure you use that promo code GetRight, because then you'll be able to claim one of those special pick'em contests. You'll get an entry there. So take advantage of it. It's usually plus or minus like a half a yard, which is almost like a free pick. So definitely take advantage of that there, where you can 20 times your money. And then in addition to that, when you use that promo code GetRight, you'll get a 50% deposit match up to $250. So basically you can, deposit as little as $10 and get $5 in bonus cash, or you can deposit $500 and get $250 in bonus cash. So what are you guys waiting for? Go download the app now, use that promo code GetRight, and then let's jump in a draft or get a pick'em contest going. We can invite each other. So we're always down. We'll be doing those here soon. So again, you guys sign up and want to get in one with us, put your money where your mouth is. Come take my money. I'm here for it. Let's do it. Use that promo code GetRight, guys. Just make sure you're in one of those states that allow it. I think we have one of those maps right here. So you guys can pause the screen and take a look at that updated. And they now have the Pick'em Champions new type of game in Florida, which is nice. So nice little addition there this year. And just again for the best ball drafts, no waivers, no trades, no lineup settings, and those are the areas that's available there. And use that promo code GetRight, guys. All right, so I think that's enough for today. Kendall, last thing I want to do. We want those grades. Getting an A from Frank is what I live for. Yeah, he don't give out no like if you get a C from Frank, like you did really, really good. It's basically an A from like me or classic. So there we go. So those will be coming back soon. Once he gets his mock fix in here, he'll start grading here again. But yeah, so we'll be back here on Mondays for that. What was the last thing I wanted to turn it over to Kendall now. So Kendall, tell us a little bit about yourself, your channel, where they can find you. We'll kind of throw the floor to you here for a little bit. So sorry to put you on the spot, but we'll give you the big screen and let the folks know where to find you.
Oh, I don't mind. Yes, kind of brand new channel. Did the, I'm a fantasy G-Gen, and I think I had a shell of a channel for like a year. I think everyone does that, like create the YouTube and then I don't know, do content. We finally started doing it this year, I think 4 or 5 weeks ago. It's the Fantasy Football Tavern, hot takes, cold beers. Come hang out. Mostly we're doing a lot of mock drafts. We're going to do some underdog live drafts. So if you're into the underdog best ball, if you're not on underdog and you want to learn a little bit before you click the link anyway, deposit some money, hop on over to the Fantasy Football Tavern, and we'll teach you how to do best ball drafts like a sharp, and we're gonna have some fun. I try to mock draft just about every Wednesday and Thursday. As much as I can with the public, hopping other people's or hopping into mine. But super, super psyched for Mondays and Fridays with you guys. I know I'm kind of new to the group here, but super fun. Love your community. You guys have such a bunch of beautiful people, such positive energy, which this is the internet. And it's a nice experience. That doesn't happen everywhere. So, man, I mean, just a testament. The fantasy football community is just like the best dudes out there.
We were talking about that.
For sure. We're happy to have you, man. Obviously, with what you're doing with the mock drafts, obviously with what we do, being the home of the mock drafts, it was just basically a match, I think, made in heaven. So, he's perfect, for what we're doing here. Great addition to the channel. Always trying to look out there and continue to expand for you guys, give you guys different takes. We just don't want all these people echoing what I'm saying, being the CEO here. I want people that have different takes who can, come up to the plate, so to speak, come battle with me, like my boy Classic here and Kendall does, to set me straight. That's what I need sometimes, man. I got to get right every once in a while. But yeah, we're happy to have you, man. You guys will be able to check out those streams here coming up soon. They will be streaming on the Tavern. So make sure you guys go jump over there, throw them, subscribe, support the channel. The link for the Tavern is down in the description. Let's get those subs up for him. But again, you can catch him both on the Tavern channel as well as here on Get Right Fantasy Network. So is there anything else you guys have? Anything I missed? Or we're ready to close this bad boy out. We haven't done a 2-hour one in a while.
No, we
so
haven't.
we've been pretty good, guys. Like, I think you guys
We
be
have.
proud of us. We've been really trying to stay close to that hour. But you know, this was a special episode. We had to get Kendall in here and give him some time. We all know, you know, Classic and I could take up a whole 3 hours just by ourselves. So, you know, we had to let the guy come in here and get some stuff done. I mean, so let's wrap this thing up. Really appreciate all you guys out there again in the chats. The questions, keep them coming. Again, hit that subscribe and like buttons for us. We'll be back here on Monday with maybe a mock, maybe a grade. I don't know. We'll talk to Frank. It's Frank's world. We're just living in it. So we'll get it done. And then, of course, anyone out there, if you're interested in getting into the fantasy world, you know, you want to be a writer, content creator, you want to come on with your own show, you know, reach out to me. Hit me up on DM, just like, you know, Kendall and I here. Happy to continue to grow the network. If you guys are interested, so hit out. We could hit me up. Hit me up. We can check it out. See what we can do with one another. So yeah. Other than that, man, for my brother-in-law Dustin, miss you, boy.
Yeah,
I need to see you. Just getting back from Hawaii, enjoying the fam. Appreciate you going out there, spending time with the fam. For my boy Frank, be back here. Of course, our boy Tycoon, who is in the mock tonight. Love his addition here to the Get Right Fantasy Network. He'll be on soon again. Of course, our boy Kendall, our special guest, Fantasy Tavern. Appreciate you for spending your Friday here with us. And what can I say about my boy Classic? You know, we're just two peas in a pot over here, I guess. You know, we do our thing. So appreciate you as always. My guy, couldn't do this without you. So from all of us here at Get Right, man, to all of you guys out there, enjoy yourselves. Have a good and safe weekend. And we'll see you back here on Monday. Classic, cue him out.
Wanted to write fantasy is the play. Marking nothing, but I tuned it